fans, welcome back to Room 237, and I got another 80s slasher film for you. With this, we're going back to one of my favorite years of horror in general, but also for slasher films, 1982 with Blood Song. This isn't one that I planned on doing for the marathon, but I came across it. And it was also known as Dream Slayer in the 90s during one of its VHS releases. Directed by Alan J. Levy, who I think only directed 3 films. Last Song, Blood Song, they're unrelated, and Stepford Children, sort of a sequel to Stepford Wives. There's some stuff for TV. And Robert Angus also has a uncredited role as director. Written by Frank Avalon, James Fargo, and Lenny Montana. And it stars Donna Wilkes, who previously was in Jaws 2. Would go on to star with Linda Blair in Grotesque. I think a few other films. Schizoid, which I have, but I've not reviewed it yet. Wait, Schizoid. Oh, I'm thinking of Schizo. I did review Schizoid. That will be under my slasher playlist as well. And stars 50s singer and heartthrob Frankie Avalon. He actually plays the killer in this. And this was not a prosecuted film during the Video Nasty Panic, but it was one of the seized films under Section 3 of the Video Nasty Panic. Now this, I kind of have... Oh, I guess Frankie Avalon was cast in this because he was in an episode of Fantasy Island. And, which, now Blumhouse just did their crappy Fantasy Island horror film. But, anyway, this movie is kind of... Also, might as well just say this, because I'm sure someone else will. The VHS of Dream Slayer, they purposely did style the word Slayer to look like the band Slayer's logo. This, I can say I enjoyed the film. I did. It goes at a nice pace. It felt like a quick sit, except for the ending. It kind of went on for a while. Acting isn't really that bad at all. It's one of the better slasher films I've seen recently. It's not really a... It has blood. I mean, the killer is a hatchet-wielding killer, so you have blood. It's not a big Tom Savini Friday the 13th gore film. But some of the elements of the story kind of loses me. There's a certain camera trick that's done, I think, 3 times throughout the film that feels out of place. The score is very 80s. It sounds, whether it's a synth, like 80s synth type score, apart with like a violin, like a psycho violin sting. But okay, it does open up with like your typical slasher film. It opens up in 1955. A guy comes home one day, finds his wife in bed with another man, murders her, him, and then himself, and we see a young boy is standing there. So we know that's going to be the traumatic event. That's the killer, and he is. The boy is then sent to a institution for 25 years. And this takes place in Oregon also. 25 years later, he escapes, now played by, his name's Paul, played by Frankie Avalon. And the tagline for the film is, which this isn't one of those random slasher films that just has blood or bloody whatever in the title, like Blood Nightmare, Blood Dream, Blood Smile, or and then have nothing to do with it. When he whistles this tune, the time for killing begins, because this wooden flute his dad gave him, and he plays it throughout the whole film. In fact, a couple of the victims actually make a comment about the flute and his playing it. So it's a very, so yeah, blood song. He plays a certain tune. So yeah, it's not just, oh, blood song. Make that the title of a slasher film. And meanwhile, nearby, there's this teenage girl named Marion, played by Donna Wilkes. She has a disability where she can't walk without a leg brace because she was in a car accident some years before. Her father was drunk and driving, hit another car, fucked her leg up. Her home life isn't that great. Her dad is still a drinker, verbally abusive to her and her mother. But after at one point after the accident, when she was in the hospital, she got a blood transfusion from Paul, the killer, and now when he kills, she has some sort of telepathic link with him, and that's where it kind of starts to lose me. Some sort of extra sensory perception that she had. It's not like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's not that extreme of stupid. In fact, it's actually kind of subtle. And he's kind of just freelancing around. He hitches a ride from this one guy. He plays his flute. The guy gets annoyed by it, so that he kills him. He kills him with I think that was the hatchet. I know one person got bludgeoned. Yeah, he hit him in the head with the hatchet. Then he takes his van, finds a female hitchhiker, takes her back to a motel to have sex. Which I thought this was funny, he gives her a locket, and he plays the flute. She kind of mocks him for it. He goes to put the locket on her, and then he strangles her with it. And I'm like, that was one hell of a chain on that locket. Freaking hoist an engine with that thing. Like, he's really strangling her with just regular necklace. And Marion, she wants to get out of the small town. She has a boyfriend who's a fisherman. Her dad does not like him at all, for whatever reason. After he kills the hitchhiker, he's out in the woods. Marion's walking by. She sees this guy with a black bag digging a hole, and the bag, there's like hair coming out of it. So she knows it's a body. He chases her. And that's when we get to the main part of the film, because the summary, or the short summary that you'll find on this is a killer stalks a teenage girl who witnessed him burying a body, and then it talks about the blood transfusion. But this is like almost an hour in. Like, the real main plot comes in probably around the 50-minute mark, closer to an hour. And at a few points throughout the film, the camera will zoom in on her eye, and then like around her pupil it will do like this sort of spiral effect of this some sort of infrared filter, and the colors are different. Like the first time it looks like infrared, like yellow and red. Then it does one that's like green and red, or yellow and purple. Yeah, then one that's yellow and purple, and then like a pink and a purple. Like it zooms all the way in, then it does like that spiral effect, infrared, zoom in, transition to the next scene. Tonally, it feels out of place. I mean, it's not like it hurt the film any, but it was kind of cool the first time, like a neat transition, but it kept doing it. I guess that was to show that she's seeing what he's doing, but I don't know. And again, it's not like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where when he killed, or even Halloween 5, when it's young Danielle Harris, when he kills someone, she spazzes out, or, you know, does the same movements he does. It's not like that. So then he tries to track her down. He stalks her. And there is one scene I liked, because you don't really get a lot of this with slasher films. It doesn't really focus on the killer like this, show how they operate. And I thought it showed the cunning of a serial killer. He's, you know, the girl that just saw him trying to get rid of a body got away, but he kind of guessed what her age was. So he's at this gas station. Guy's filling up his gas, and he's like, "Oh, nice town, nice small town." Guy's kind of talking back to him, like, "Yeah, yeah." So I'm just worried about the high school. Want to make sure I pick the right one. So he asks about the high school and where it is. And the guy tells him. So it's like it's just showing his cunning and his intelligence on how to find someone, like deceiving people. And I just thought that was a well acted, different scene for a slasher. You know, you usually see something like that in like a more like a psychological horror or thriller about a serial killer, not so much a slasher. And he ends up at her house, and no one believes that she's seeing all this stuff. She even brings her boyfriend to the spot where he was disposing the body, and he digs up a bag of garbage. So everyone thinks she's making it up, but eventually he does find her house, beats the hell out of her dad. You know, he gets hit with the hatchet, like his leg, his chest, his face. He kind of gets the worst of it. And then almost the whole third act is this cat and mouse between Marion and Paul at this lumber yard. And it seemed like it went on for quite a while. I mean, I didn't mind it. And at one point, it was kind of jarring at one point, because she's running around screaming. Hides on this big stack of lumber. He gets a forklift. He picks up the part she's on, lowers it, and she's screaming like, "No, no, please, no, go away." But then right when he gets it down in front of him, she just gets up, jumps in the forklift with him, just starts hitting him. And like, "I hate you. I'm gonna kill you." It felt random. But eventually he loses control of the forklift, goes through the side of the building and off the pier and into the bay. The ending, I also kind of... Well, I was debating whether to say spoilers or not, but I already said almost the whole damn thing. Cops show up. She tells them their story, but they can't find a body with the forklift. So, oh, he got away, of course. So they think she's making it all up. But not only that, that she's responsible for the murders, including her father. So she gets sent to an institution, the same one Paul escaped from, which Paul is able to go into, dressed as a doctor, go into her room, and she realizes it's him. Fade to black, laugh, scream, credits. It's just, I hope he just showed up, threw a coat on, went straight to her room, because if not, that's the dumbest staff at an institution. Like, he just escaped how long ago? Not that long ago. And now he's walking around. It's like, well, must have not recognized him in a lab coat instead of a straitjacket, I guess. But, and actually, the worst part of this film actually has nothing to do with the film itself. It's for free on YouTube. That's how I saw it. Of course, it was probably the VHS transfer because the quality and resolution was very low. On top of watching it on YouTube through the PlayStation, so the resolution is already quite low. It was kind of hard to see a lot of things, but that's really not the film's fault. That's, my own equipment's fault. But, after how many slasher films I've already seen, especially with just this marathon, with how many bad ones there were, I didn't really know what to expect, but I actually did enjoy this film. Again, I thought it was actually quite decently acted, had decent kills, not a very big gore film, but when you had hatchet wounds, they looked alright. Nice 80s slasher score. I didn't mind the story of a guy escaping from an institute, kills a couple people. Someone sees him, so then he starts stalking her. And it's someone with a leg disability, so they can't really run that well. I liked all that. That's all perfect for a slasher film. Kind of like Halloween. Guy escapes, starts killing people, starts stalking a specific one. But the whole extrasensory perception and the telepathic link, all because of a blood transfusion, that's where it kind of starts to lose me. But where it didn't go to such extreme lengths like Halloween 5 or Rob Zombie's H2, I was able to forgive it. I mean, it almost plays off like daydreams or premonitions. It comes across more like that. It's not like when he stabs someone, she's walking around going like this, or something stupid like the aforementioned Halloween films. Excuse me. But, I was impressed by the pacing. It did feel like a fairly quick sit. It went by. It didn't really waste any time. You had a couple decent, different scenes with the killer, like show his way of thinking and his way of charming and deceiving. Well, like the scene at the gas station. So yeah, 1982's Blood Song, I can actually say it was a pretty decent slasher. I actually enjoyed it. So, yeah. Thank you for watching.